his dad, the superintendent. And a little more to that story, Robert Poling uses his dad's credit card to pay off the coach's fines. So now the game's in progress. And there it goes. The coach comes back. And, the kids, here we go. They get their feet under them. They win the game. And now it's after the fact. And they're all gathered around the coach. Okay? And then the coach finds something out. Now this brother had denied his scholarship at the same school that the brother ended up going to college. And he writes a letter to the school and to the coach and basically says, look, I might be the better of the two of us, but he will accomplish great things in his life. The brother sacrifices his scholarship, so there's an opportunity. Well, as it turns out, there's a great Christian man that you meet in this movie that took it upon himself that he does this every year. Very wealthy man. He went and paid that scholarship for that coach for all 4 years. Okay? He's the biggest supporter at that 6A school. So amazingly, God's plans are better than ours, aren't they? Yeah. Now, I told you a few Sundays back about how evil keeps growing, folks. And I also told you that I had read that little article that made me think about it, and it said basically it's because us as Christians were not being bold enough and standing up, okay? Here's a man that literally was knocked down as a boy, got his feet under him, realized that God can put you back together, okay? So, I shared with you all several times, never make names, but I was once confronted in this same similar situation. I was the announcer at that high school for a lot of years, 25, 27, however many. And one particular evening, we had done something and we'd kind of had a prayer before the game. And I get a letter from the superintendent of schools. JD's seen that letter, Mary Alice has seen that letter, and it basically says, you don't do that no more. No more. Well, Reverend Ed McDaniels and myself, Ed was the athletic director at the time, we decided that we could fix that. We'd just go around that, and we did. And we were able to keep plugging along many years after that superintendent went by the wayside. Okay? So, I told you in no manner that God can fix things. So the analogy of all this, as I kind of try to make it make sense to you, is Satan moves at warp speed. Okay? Whether it's a superintendent at a school telling a coach, you can't do this, and the coach has the roots, the foundation to say, I'm moving on. I'm going to keep doing this. And it is kind of comical because this policeman keeps giving him these tickets. And he meets him at home plate every time, gives him the tickets. And the boys is cheering coach on because they realize what's going on. But in Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 18, the Apostle Paul says, Satan hindered us. Then in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 9 through 12, I'm going to read these. I want you to listen to this. Even him who is coming after the working of Satan with all the power and signs of lying wonders, and with all deceitfulness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might not be saved. And for this cause God shall send them a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, and they that might be damned, and who believeth not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Paul says what? Deceivers, as I started with you. Deceivers, and those that's pointing fingers, and those that try to put the stumbling blocks in front of us. It's out there. It doesn't matter if it's a trivial thing like not being able to lead a bunch of boys. Now, I understand the premise of some people, and they get on their high horse and say, you're doing stuff to my boy that isn't right, you know? And we've got that. It's going on every day now, okay? Because we do get some things led down the wrong paths, you know, and you hear about these things that's being taught in our school systems and in our colleges. And it's just plain out wrong, okay? But anyway, Satan is always the adversary. You ever think about that? No matter what's good, he's there to show you another side of it. Provocation is a big word. You know, I studied that word and I thought about it. Provocation, uprising, uprooting, planting the ill seed. You know, remember the parable about the guy planted good seed, but yet tares grew up among them. But it says in 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1, Satan stood up against Israel. Now listen to this, folks. Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David into numbering the people. Now what was wrong with that? God didn't want him to do it. But David, old Satan's prodding him along. And David does what? He tells Joab. And Joab says, hey, David, God said not to do this. Don't do this. But he does. And then he has to plead to God to forgive him of his ignorance. Twinkling of an eye. Lightning. Warp speed. He's in there, okay? Finally, the one I use a lot is in Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 4. This is the temptation of Eve. Simple enough. Youngest grandson, Baylor. I use Baylor a lot, you know, but anyway, as Mouse has heard him say it, and I have, and some of you that's seen it in the video, he changes his voice, and he says, God told them not to eat the fruit. Okay? Plain and simple. Don't do it. Don't listen to Satan. Okay? I rambled a lot here. I started you with Bob Knight. Makes no sense. Michael, slow down so we can see it. I give you an analogy of a baseball coach that has his roots solid, folks. He gets warped a little. He gets a big head. He uproots his family. He makes a mistake. But God still puts him back together. He witnesses in a prison and changes a man's life. A man that had been on a bad path his whole life. Okay? He put him back together. Well, I told you before this, what are your plans? What are your plans? I can't see any of us running the bases nowadays, except maybe Jacob. Some of you might still have it in you. Most of us would be limping around the bases, okay? But think about that. The point being simple. You got your foundation. I'm so happy that we finished our Constitution and bylaws. Yeah, it's been a great thing off my back. It's been a burden to a point that I'm like, man, what have we got into? Can I get this? And 106 pages. And when I finally got done with it, it's only like 25 or 26. And that's great. And, you know, down the road here, we'll get this all in place with a invitation to join whoever wants to. And the point being made, the foundation. Church has been here 100 years plus. The foundation. JD and them got a job this week. They got to go put a foundation under the Tyler County Courthouse.
Oh my.
Now think about that. That's cut stone. How do you do that? Well, as JD alluded to me, it's not going to be easy, okay? But anyway, where's your foundation? Think about that. What's your answer? How you going to respond? And I hope some way you got something out of a simple baseball analogy and a basketball analogy, because it all is about our lives, folks. Satan's there all the time. Okay? Well, anyway, that's all I got. I hope all your hearts and minds are clear. If you want to come forward, here comes Uncle Johnny, you know. Get rid of this stuff that's bothering you. And anyway, hearts and souls, if you're clear. Justine, you got us another number?
Let's do 196. I'm going to change that. In the red book.
196.
Yeah.
Oh my.
You always have